This is the best book I've read this year. In fact, Cheers, A Cultural History might be the best book I've read in a very, very long time. On the one hand, I'm biased because I'm madly in love with Cheers, but on the other hand, I'm in love with Cheers and I've read a lot about Cheers. I needed this to teach me something new, and it did. Also, I am a writer and editor, professional writer-editor, and I am so critical of contemporary publications. And at no point did this annoy me. The grammar didn't annoy me, the writing style didn't annoy me. It was perfect, perfectly written, perfectly published, and a great celebration of Cheers. There are two great things about this. One, Darowski and Darowski are obviously fans of Cheers. That's so apparent. And yeah, sometimes books written by fans are not that intellectual, they're not very well written, and they just seem like one giant fangasm, to use a popular term on the internet. But actually, this is so much more than that. I'd say Darowski and Darowski are experts and very good writers. So let's have a look at it. We have the cover, it's absolutely gorgeous, and then the back for anybody who's interested. I'm not going to actually do a full in-depth review. This is aimed more so at people who might be interested in it, but who have perhaps seen the price tag and thought, I don't know if it's worth it. Because at the time of recording this, I think it's about £25 on Amazon, which is not, it's not as expensive as a lot of books, but at the same time, it's not loose change. But I can say it's worth every penny and more. There's actually a series of these. I believe Darowski and Darowski wrote the one on Frasier, which I will be getting as soon as. There are also ones on Seinfeld and various other sitcoms written by other people. But me being a Cheers addict, instantly this is the one I knew I had to read. So yeah, I'm not going to be doing a full, deep analysis of this. I just want to do a very brief overview of the kind of thing you can expect in case you are thinking of getting this. The only thing I will say, just very briefly before I go on praising it some more, is that it's very heavily weighted towards the Sam and Diane years. I think there are two reasons for that. One, I feel like most people are more interested in those years than they are the Rebecca years. And two, I feel like that's when the show was kind of in its heyday. That's where there are going to be a lot of quotes and writers have a lot more opinions about these things because it's very much the main narrative for a very long time. But I'm biased. I love Kirstie Alley. I do wish it was slightly more evenly weighted between, say, the first half of the season, the series, and the second half. But it's a minor complaint. And we still have Rebecca in this, so it's not like she's not mentioned. But what I will say is this is just absolutely stunning. So I'm just going to very quickly flick through it. You'll be able to see the titles of the chapters at the top to give you a rough idea. I mean, you can see straight away how well researched this is. We do have a brief episode guide at the back, which I thought was a nice little addition. And then we have, so here we got bits about Rebecca. Look at how well laid out this is. We've got a quote from James Burrows there. Beautiful pictures. I love her. Ted Danson's amazing too, of course. Don't you just love Cliff and Norm? Normisms. There are quotes from episodes, some little random things that might not mean anything if you haven't seen the episodes, but it's every other sentence is not so much an in-joke, but a reference to an episode or a quote or something a character does that just shows that this is so incredibly well researched. I'd say the writers have seen every episode 100 times. I don't know that for a fact, but they know this inside out. And they share this knowledge with some brilliant analysis, some fantastic research, great use of external sources for quotes. There we have Woody, Cliff, Frasier, and Norm. The early gang. And what I love most about this, there are three things. It's very well written. in terms of the grammar, the vocabulary. It's very well researched in terms of referencing other sources and providing quotes from cast and crew. And it's also very emotional. Very, very emotional. And it's emotional because it's a true celebration of Cheers. And do you know when a show hits you so hard? I'm welling up just thinking about it. Do you know when a TV show hits you so hard that it's just the best thing you've ever experienced, and it makes you feel all of the emotions? And because Cheers is in a bar setting and everybody's welcome, it's so quick to become one of the gang. As a viewer, you feel like you're there. You feel like you're part of that Cheers family, like you're one of the patrons sitting at Sam's bar. And it really celebrates that and draws the reader in and makes you feel like you're part of this family and like you've been part of this journey and part of a fandom as well. And it's so beautiful to read this and to read the words of people who share that passion that I have for Cheers. And it makes me feel a little less alone in the world. It's obviously quite emotional because several Cheers actors are no longer with us, which is, of course, heartbreaking. But when a show's 40 years old, that's kind of what you expect, isn't it? I absolutely love this book. I'm welling up. It's truly made me feel so much love and joy and happiness. And if you're a Cheers fan, I recommend it. It's worth every penny. As I said, I'm going to read the Frasier one. I'm a big fan of Frasier. I don't think the Frasier one will hit me as hard as this has. I watched Frasier and thought it was the best show in the world, and then watched Cheers and realised that Cheers was the best show in the world. But Frasier comes just a whisker second. But this is gorgeous. Cheers, A Cultural History by Joseph J. Darowski and Kate Darowski is one of the best books I've ever read, and definitely the best book I've read this year so far. I devoured every word of this. I adored every word of this. It's beautifully written, expertly written, an absolute dream.